If you were to give it all away right now, what would you do? Where would you put it and why?
Well, it's kind of an interesting question because I I wouldn't. What I would do is the most important thing is to really make a difference. And if it's physically, you give very little when you give up your material possessions. I think it's when you give up yourself you truly give. So for me, it would be about sustainability and really making a difference for the long haul. I think it's something you have to spend a lot of time and thought on, frankly. In our case, we have a couple of kids, 2 kids. We're lucky to have them. How do we train them so they can take whatever material resources we would have and put them to good for a long, long time?
How and what are you doing differently than the status quo when it comes to giving?
I think for us, and when I say us, it's Anne, my wife, and myself. It's about what do we feel passionate about, and where do we think we can make a difference. And and we've gone through a whole range of things where we want it to be more about making a difference, teaching people to fish rather than giving them a fish, and starting basically in our community. I think charity begins at home. So for us, that was Central Illinois, and going back probably 30 years, all we had was to give up our time, effort, maybe some relationships, and then you build from that. Whether it was the arts, the women's shelters, moving up to a number of other elements. And lately, Ann and I, we've been working on handicapped, I think, more physically, to help them. So really you end up with causes we believe in might not be sexy to other people. And it doesn't have maybe, the buzz or a short-term impact, a feel-good kind of moment. It's something you're building for long-term sustainability.
One thing you wish you hadn't done or had done differently, what surprising thing have you learned about giving money away since you started doing it?
I think you have to, again, you get into a mode where, if you're able to write a check, you kind of just start doing it, and you don't spend enough time really as to can you leverage it? Who are the people, who'll be implementing it, who can get more bang out of it, make bigger difference? So really, for me, it's more time, more energy it takes to really understand the people behind maybe the implementation or some of the beneficiaries. And we used to have a mindset, once you've kind of given the money, your responsibility is done. And I think what we've learned is it's really kind of starting at that point. What happens, you've got to make the right choice, but then you have to make sure it really is implemented and it produces the results you were hoping, and if not, what have you learned and what are you going to do different?